Have you ever been around someone and just felt off? You couldn't quite put your finger on it, no harsh words, no raised voices, but something in their presence made the room feel heavier, your energy dimmer, your peace disturbed. They smiled. They were polite. Maybe even charming. But deep down, something whispered, "This isn't right." That's not just intuition. That's a warning. See, evil rarely shows up in obvious ways. It doesn't wear a mask or announce itself with anger. More often, it shows up soft-spoken, helpful, even likable. And by the time you see its true face, it's already too close. These people don't need a reason to hurt you. They do it because it's in their nature, slowly, subtly, by eroding your confidence, your calm, and your sense of what's real. But here's the good news: evil leaves clues. If you know what to look for, you can spot it and stop it before it gets any deeper into your life. In this video, I'll walk you through 6 powerful red flags that reveal when someone's presence isn't just toxic, it's dangerous. Each one is a signal, and together they tell a story you can't afford to ignore. If any of this feels familiar, this might be the wake-up call you've been needing. Red flag number 1, they constantly lie or twist the truth. One of the clearest signs you're dealing with someone dangerous, someone truly harmful, is their casual relationship with the truth. Not everyone lies out of fear or desperation. Some lie simply because they can. For them, dishonesty isn't a mistake, it's a method. It's how they operate. At first, the lies seem small. A white lie here, a harmless exaggeration there. You give them the benefit of the doubt. You tell yourself, maybe they just misremembered. But over time, a pattern begins to form. The truth starts to shift, slowly then suddenly. They say one thing today, then swear they never said it tomorrow. And when you question them, they act offended. "You're being too sensitive." "That's not what I said." "You must be confused." That confusion is the point. Because if they can get you to doubt your memory, your perception, they can control your reality. They can rewrite the past, bend the present, and steer your thoughts without ever raising their voice. This is what Stoicism warns us about, the slow erosion of clarity. A Stoic protects their mind the way a warrior guards their home. And clarity, truth, reason, these are the foundations. Once those begin to crack, you lose your footing. You start second-guessing your instincts. But ask yourself, have they lied when telling the truth would have cost them nothing? Have they twisted facts, not to survive but to gain power? That's not forgetfulness. That's a red flag. A person like this doesn't want peace, they want control. And the more you excuse their behavior, the deeper they sink into your life. The Stoics remind us, we may not control others, but we can always control what and who we allow to influence our minds. If someone around you constantly bends the truth, leaves you feeling foggy, or makes you question your own reality, it's time to step back. Protect your mind. Honor your instincts, because someone who plays with the truth will never protect yours. Red flag number 2, they thrive on conflict and chaos. Most of us, as we grow older, learn the value of peace. We seek calm conversations, mutual respect, and quiet spaces where hearts can feel safe. But not everyone shares that goal. Some people, no matter their age, are drawn to conflict like a moth to a flame. They don't just stumble into arguments. They create them. And worse, they enjoy them. They stir the pot with subtle comments. They whisper half-truths to one person, then say something else to another. They ask leading questions, drop innocent remarks, and sit back as the tension rises. You've seen it before, maybe at a family gathering, a workplace, or even in your own home. Everything is going fine, then bam, one well-placed sentence shifts the energy in the room. Suddenly, people are arguing, feelings are hurt, and nobody's quite sure how it started. But they know, because they planned it. These people thrive on chaos. Drama gives them a sense of control, of power. And while everyone else feels anxious or hurt, they feel energized. In the eyes of the Stoics, this kind of person is deeply out of alignment with virtue. Marcus Aurelius taught that true strength lies in self-control, in choosing harmony over ego. A wise person doesn't light fires just to watch others burn. They seek stillness, not storms. So how do you spot someone who thrives on conflict? Watch how they behave when things are calm. Do they get restless when there's no drama? Do they poke at others, stir old wounds, or try to turn people against each other? And most importantly, do they always seem to be at the center of tension, yet somehow claim they're just trying to help? A person like this rarely takes responsibility. Instead, they'll blame others, or worse, play the victim. But as a Stoic, your peace is sacred. You are not obligated to entertain someone else's chaos. You don't have to match their energy or fix their mess. You simply step back. You hold your ground. and you choose stillness over struggle. Because peace is not just a comfort, it's a form of wisdom. And those who cannot respect it should not be allowed near it. Red flag number 3, they always make you feel like you're the problem. One of the most subtle and most damaging traits of a toxic person is their ability to make you feel like you're always at fault. No matter what happens, somehow, it ends with you apologizing, second-guessing yourself, or wondering if you're just too sensitive. They never shout. They don't need to. Instead, they use quiet correction, dismissive comments, and that patronizing tone that makes you question your own reality. I never said that. You're remembering it wrong. You always overreact. And slowly doubt creeps in. You begin to silence yourself before you speak. You replay conversations in your head. You start asking yourself, am I the problem? That's not just confusion, that's gaslighting. And it's one of the most manipulative tools someone can use to control your mind. The Stoics warned us about this long before the word gaslighting existed. They taught that the greatest danger isn't what others do, but how easily we let go of our own reason. When someone chips away at your confidence, when they reshape the truth so often that you stop trusting your own memory, that's not a disagreement. That's psychological control. A person like this doesn't want to understand you. They want to unbalance you. Because once you start questioning yourself, they don't have to. You'll do all the work for them. So how do you know when it's happening? Ask yourself, do you feel small when you're around them? Do you often leave conversations feeling confused or ashamed, even when you came in feeling clear and calm? Do they dismiss your emotions, twist your words, or turn every issue back onto you? If so, this isn't a misunderstanding. It's a red flag. A Stoic stands on truth, on clarity, on the strength of their own judgment. And if someone in your life keeps pulling you away from that foundation, it's time to take a step back. You don't need permission to trust your own memory. You don't need approval to believe what you know is real. And you certainly don't need to stay in relationships that make you doubt your worth. Hold the line. Honor your truth. And never forget, your peace of mind is not up for debate. Red flag number 4, they always play the victim. Life throws challenges at all of us. We've all faced loss, disappointment, unfair treatment. That's part of being human. But there's a difference between someone who's been hurt and someone who uses their pain to manipulate others. This red flag is hard to spot at first. They tell stories of hardship. They talk about how others have wronged them. You feel sympathy, of course you do. You're kind, you've lived enough life to understand struggle. But over time, a pattern appears. Nothing is ever their fault. Every failed relationship, every mistake, every problem in their life, it's always because of someone else. And when you try to hold them accountable, even gently, they flip the script. How could you say that to me after everything I've been through? You're just like the rest. Suddenly you're the bad guy. Your reasonable boundary becomes an attack. Your emotional honesty becomes cruelty. And once again, you're left apologizing for things you didn't do. This is not just self-pity. This is emotional manipulation. And for them it works, because you're empathetic. You want to help. But they don't want help, they want power through pity. They want control through guilt. And the more you give, the more they take. The Stoics teach us that while we can't control the events of life, we are fully responsible for how we respond. And part of that wisdom is knowing when someone is using their story not to heal, but to hide. Ask yourself, are you constantly making excuses for someone even when they hurt you? Do you feel guilty for setting normal, healthy limits? Have you become a character in someone else's ongoing tragedy, while they refuse to grow or change? So, you're not supporting someone in pain. You're being used by someone unwilling to face their own reflection. A true Stoic knows compassion must be paired with clarity. You can care for someone, and still walk away. You can acknowledge their past, without sacrificing your peace. Remember, your empathy is a gift, not a leash. And anyone who uses your kindness to control you is not a victim. They're a threat to your well-being. Red flag number 5. They constantly criticize you but never acknowledge your wins. There's a kind of poison that doesn't come all at once. It seeps in slowly through small comments, subtle jabs, and quiet put-downs. You don't even notice it at first. But over time it weakens you. This is what happens when someone in your life constantly points out your flaws, but never celebrates your strengths. You work hard. You grow. You accomplish something meaningful, something you're proud of. And when you share it with them, you get a shrug, a smirk, a comment like, "That's good, but you could have done better." Or worse, they compare it to something they've done, just to remind you that they're still ahead. This isn't feedback. This isn't love. This is control through insecurity. Because if they can keep you doubting yourself, they can keep you small. If they never let you feel proud, you'll keep working for their approval. And they'll never give it. That's not encouragement. That's emotional starvation. And it works until you see it for what it is. The Stoics remind us that our value doesn't come from the applause of others, but from living in alignment with our own principles. Progress matters more than praise. But even so, constant criticism, especially from someone close to you, takes a toll. Ask yourself, do they ever genuinely lift you up? Or do they only speak when they're pointing out what you lack? Do they seem threatened when you succeed? Do they downplay your joy and amplify your mistakes? If so, understand this, it's not about your flaws, it's about their need for control. A person like this will never be satisfied. Because it was never about what you did, it's about keeping you unsure of yourself. But you have a choice. You don't need their validation to feel proud. You don't need their permission to grow. And you don't need to stay small just to make someone else feel big. As Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. So master your worth. Stand firm in your growth. And walk away from anyone who makes you feel like you're never enough. Red flag number 6. They show no empathy or compassion. Of all the warning signs, this may be the most chilling, and the easiest to overlook at first. Because when someone feels nothing for the pain of others, they won't always show it through cruelty. Sometimes, they just don't respond at all. You open up to them. You share a loss, a hardship, a moment that shook your world. And they sit there, cold, detached, unmoved. Maybe they offer a shrug. Maybe they say, well, life's tough, or, it happens to everyone. Or worse, they redirect the moment to talk about themselves. This is not emotional distance. This is emotional emptiness. And when someone has no empathy, they are not just difficult, they are dangerous. Because if they don't care about your pain, they won't hesitate to cause it. The Stoics teach us to temper our emotions, not to erase them. Marcus Aurelius wrote of compassion. Seneca spoke of mercy. True strength in Stoic thought means having the power to hurt, and choosing not to. But someone without empathy? They don't choose restraint, they don't even see the need for it. They view others not as people but as tools, things to be used then discarded. And when you're hurting, they don't feel discomfort, they feel nothing. That's the red flag. Ask yourself, do you feel seen when you're around them? Do they ever offer support when you're struggling? Or do they act like your emotions are inconvenient? Do you walk away from conversations feeling invisible or worse, ashamed for even speaking up? If so, hear this clearly, you are not the problem. They are showing you who they are, believe them. The Stoic path is not about being cold, it's about being wise. And wisdom means recognizing when someone's lack of feeling is not a flaw, but a threat. You deserve to be around people who care, who listen, who feel. And if someone in your life can't, or won't, show basic human compassion, it's not your job to fix them. It's your responsibility to protect yourself. Because no one should go through life trying to find warmth in someone who has none to give. Red flag number 7, they drain your energy without giving anything back. Some people don't lie. They don't yell. They don't even argue. But somehow, you always feel tired after being around them. Emotionally drained. Spiritually worn out. Mentally heavy. That's no accident. That's a red flag. Because not all toxicity is loud. Some of it is quiet, subtle. Hidden in constant neediness, endless complaints, or the inability to ever give back. These people come to you only when they want something, your time, your attention, your help, your sympathy. But when you need support, they disappear. They're suddenly busy, tired, preoccupied. It's always about them. The Stoics believed in balance. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that we are all part of a larger whole, a community built on mutual respect and shared burdens. But energy vampires? They take, and never return the same in kind. You might think, I'm just being a good friend. And yes, kindness matters. But so does reciprocity. If someone only comes to you when they're in crisis and never checks in when you're down, if every conversation circles back to their drama, their stress, their struggles, and yours are always minimized or ignored, you're not in a friendship. You're in a one-way transaction. And over time, this imbalance drains more than just your energy, it chips away at your joy. Ask yourself, do you feel lighter or heavier after spending time with them? Are you always the one listening but never heard? Do you feel guilty when you think about pulling away even though you're exhausted? That's the sign. A Stoic guards their energy. Not out of selfishness but out of wisdom. Because if your cup is always empty, you have nothing left to give, to yourself or anyone else. So don't be afraid to draw a line. You're not heartless for needing peace. You're not cruel for needing space. Your energy is sacred. And anyone who constantly drains it without ever filling it has no business being that close to it. If any of these signs felt familiar, take a breath. It's not your fault. You're not overreacting. And you're definitely not alone. Recognizing the truth about someone, especially someone close to you, can be painful. But it's also the first step toward freedom. As the Stoics teach, we cannot control the actions of others, but we can choose what we allow into our lives, into our minds, and into our hearts. You deserve peace. You deserve relationships rooted in respect, not confusion. And you deserve to feel seen, not silenced. If this video gave you clarity, or even just comfort, I invite you to stay connected. Subscribe for more content that strengthens your mindset, protects your spirit, and helps you live with wisdom, not fear. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share it. You never know whose life you might help shift. Take care of your heart. Guard your mind. And always trust the feeling that tells you something isn't right. Because that voice is trying to lead you back home, to yourself.